Hey folks, Roland Martin here, BeWoke.vote. Great conversations we have been having. My next guest is someone, here's the deal. So when you hear folks talk about individuals in Hollywood, people always say, oh, they should be quiet, oh, they should be quiet, be quiet. They should just focus on acting. They don't know anything about public policy. Some folks do, a lot of folks don't, but that is not my next guest. Erica Alexander is very much involved, not just in public policy, but also somebody who's been on the campaign trail. She's been a delegate. She's caught a hail from people as a result of her political choices, but she's always been one to step up and not be afraid to take a stand. Erica Alexander, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, and I'm always glad to be with you, Roland.
Always
you
good
are
to
the
see
truth.
you.
Wherever you are is where it's at.
Well, somebody got to give him a little hell.
A little bit.
So we first met in Denver.
We sure did.
So it's...
I'm glad you remember.
No, I remember.
Because I remember.
So it's 2008.
Yes.
And Erica had about 20 bodyguards around her.
That is so not true.
Here's what actually really
Here comes
happened.
the fiction. I'll get fact later.
So I see Erica, and I'm actually in
Up
one of
in
the
the
sky
sky
boxes.
boxes.
At the time I'm with CNN, and so I look down, and you're trying to watch the whole deal, and you're sort of kind of standing behind somebody, and I was like, "Po girl." So I go down and I said, "You want to watch the proceedings from up here?" You like, "Yes, okay." So we go upstairs, and watch them there. But then of course we're in the hallway. So let me explain something to y'all. I'm not afraid to walk up to anybody.
No.
I'll meet anybody. Doesn't matter. So we're standing in the hallway there at the stadium. All of a sudden, we see this just phalanx of Secret Service people coming down. Erica literally steps aside, like almost against the wall. I don't move. I'm standing in the middle of the hallway, like, I don't know who coming, but I ain't moving. I want to see who it is. So as they're getting closer, it's President Jimmy Carter and his wife, Rosalind Carter. And so I'm standing there and I'm waiting for them to walk up. Like, they going to greet me, I'm going to greet them. I look at Erica, I'm like, "What you doing? Get over here." And she's like, oh, I'm like, "Yes, come right here so you can meet them." So they come up and Secret Service clearing everybody out of the way. They walk up, the Carters, "Oh, Roland, how you doing? Good to see you. That's so great." I was like, "Good to meet you as well, Mr. President, First Lady. Hey, this is Erica Alexander." And so this is look on Erica's face.
Oh, Lord, please, come on now.
Erica, am I lying?
No. That's how you go, roll me out here?
No, but I'm just saying, that's how we met.
No, that is true.
That's how we met.
It's the truth.
And when they walked away, she's like, "Okay, so you literally just stood there and like, did not care. I'm like, "No, I didn't care." It was like, we're going to sit there and meet the former president.
I just spent months and months and months with a bunch of Secret Service people. So I've been working with and for Hillary Clinton as her surrogate. And, when you saw the Secret Service, at least me, I just get out the way. It was a lot easier, and that's what I know. That's what I did. I know. You the man, but me, I moved.
I ain't care.
I moved.
I ain't care.
Well, there you go. I learned something a little bit.
And everybody else was afraid to walk up to him.
Well, hey, but that's why, we need you around.
I just stood there still like the receiving line, like, "How y'all doing?"
When people are ready to you, show us the way. So
Hey, somebody got to do it.
Come on.
That was because I interviewed you after that for my book on the first, President Barack Obama's Road to the White House. And was that the first campaign you got that heavily involved in?
Most definitely. I mean, I'd done a few, like, knocking on doors for John Kerry's campaign, but that was just around Los Angeles. That was the first time that anybody had ever asked me to be that involved. I think that a lot of the energy after Hillary Clinton lost Iowa and came in third place went to not only President Obama, but then there was the other senator,
John Edwards.
And they needed people. I knew Mignon Moore, and there were many black women who were with her, and they asked me, could I show up to South Carolina, and I did. And by the end of the evening, I was on a plane with, at the time, she was a senator, Senator Clinton and President Clinton in Chelsea, and I stayed with them the whole time.
You experienced some real. Prince had a song called Black Sweat. I would say you experienced some serious black heat. Being a black woman supporting Hillary Clinton that heavily against Senator Barack Obama.
Yeah, which was bizarre to me. I mean, I would happen to be in good company. Again, I was with Mignon Moore, I was with Maya Angelou, I was with Eliana Van Zandt. I was with a lot of people who I admired and, did not know that they were, you know, campaigning with or for her. I just learned that as I went through it. Sheila Jackson Lee, there were, you know, all of Debbie Tubb Jones, you know, who passed away during that. No. I was in very good company. But the thing is, and you have to have the courage of your convictions. I always liked Hillary Clinton. She's a Scorpio. Hey, she.
Is she October Scorpio or November Scorpio?
She's October Scorpio.
See, that's different. See, that's different.
Oh,
see, I'm November 14th. See,
I'm November 19th. So.
Yeah, you see, you close to Sagittarius.
Oh,
well, go ahead.
Come on, don't even try it. See, now I know why I like you, and why also, you know, you probably really true lunatic. But I was okay with it, but it was hard for other people to see me in that, I guess, in their posse. You know what? Here's the weird thing. I'm my father's daughter, and I'm my mother's, you know, daughter. I mean, I'm from Arizona, and most people don't know that. So already I'm off, you know, the reservation of what they think that I should be. But to be for Hillary Clinton and stay there because you thought, I thought nothing changed because he won the Iowa vote. It's just the energy changed. And up until that point, I'd never heard of Senator Obama. You know, I didn't know very much about him. I knew that he'd done a really great speech and that he seemed to have a really great platform that matched hers. And I was a woman. I've been very pro-woman since I was a little girl. I thought the ERA, the amendment, was for me. My name is Erica Rose Alexander. And that's right. And so I've been a feminist, at least in my mind, for a long time. My father was one of the people I think who radicalized me if there was any sort of radical movement. I love strong men. And strong men tell their daughters and tell women, you need to stand up and do what you need to do and don't back down. So that was make me back down just because other people were going the other way. I thought that we could all be for each other and still win.
But that was a naive view.
No, I didn't. No, it wasn't naive. It worked out.
The reason I say naive because I mean you caught a lot of hell.
I did. I was all right with it though. You know, look, if you are outside the mainstream, and I felt outside the mainstream my whole life, then you can't. No one can push you aside any further. You can just hold your ground and say, listen, you may despise me, you may not understand my choice, but at least you can respect that I stood in it.
But did it hurt? Did it hurt to have people who look like you, people who you know, literally question your blackness?
Yes, but only a little bit. Because again, I'm from the mountains of Arizona. Both my parents were orphans. I lived in a hotel called Starlight off of Route 66 for the first 11 years of my life. All people have always questioned my blackness. When I came to Philadelphia, it was the most black people I had ever seen in my life. My father was Church of God in Christ preacher, Baptist, Kojic, and then he changed to Lutheran. And he did that because it was the 70s. Yeah, German Lutherans up in the mountains of Arizona.
Damn, hold on. He went from Kojic to German Lutherans?
Yeah, because he had 6 kids, and they had health care. And he made that choice. He looked at it and thought he was basically, you know, an employee that got, you know, offerings off of a plate. That's like getting tipped wages your whole life. And you living out of, you know, his first part of his life, living out of trash cans. We dumpster dive. We would go into dumpsters and throw out cans and bottles and crush them. And that wasn't like, oh, side money. That was our living money. That's how we lived. And, you know, so when he got a chance, I think he saw a chance. He had his first heart attack at 35 years of age. He took it. Right at the 70s, they were open, I think, white hippie type people were open to listening to different types of pastors because of Martin Luther King and, you know, people sharing, you know, I guess their pain and their love and their music all through, you know, the first part of the 70s because the end of the 60s were so bad. So he was one of the preachers that I think caught, you know, the wave, and they offered to make him a Lutheran pastor. They sent him to the Lutheran Theological Seminary in Philadelphia. I was there, and the minute I got there, the first time I went to Leeds Middle School, the first thing they said is I wasn't black enough. They said, why you talk so proper? Can I hold your pencil? I said, hold my pencil? No, I'm okay, I'm cool. I can hold my own pencil. I mean, they automatically thought that I couldn't be legitimate. But you know what? They didn't bother me past that. I think I could look them in the eye, and I could, you know, I didn't turn away, I didn't duck. I knew not to do that, but already I was outside the mainstream.
Growing up, what are your first memories of your parents voting and or their political activism?
Well, my father being a pastor, that's what you did. That's what he did. You'd go on reservations. You would be an advocate for the Navajos, the Hopis, for the Mexicans, for white people. He often was asked to come in and counsel and advise white people. And I say that because we were on the east side of the tracks. Most of the black people in our town, in our small town, were on the west side. So already he figured out a way to, again, even skirt that issue. We were going to be in a hotel called Starlight, but on the east side of those tracks. And I think that it became very political, or I became political, just seeing how he had to manage to make a living for his family. And one of the things he managed was to make sure that we were around people who made the laws and the legislations in those small town. It was a company town. The Babbitts owned everything. Babbitt Ford, Babbitt this, Babbitt that. And if you didn't know them, you didn't know anybody. So I think that he also, worked for the Urban League. He was a Pullman porter on the trains. It came right past. That was my front yard. It was the railroad tracks. And my mother was a social worker. She didn't start then, but she was a school teacher. That's what they did. They were a tag team. He would sing, she would sing, and he would, raise hell in the church. And to me, that's all politics. To be a pastor is to be political.
When you look at your background, you talked about mom, social worker, dad, preacher, and public policy, working with Native Americans, whites, Mexicans, dumpster diving. You take all of that. Does it give you a much different understanding, as far as you're concerned, of public policy today and how we are impacted by politics and by politicians and by the power of voting?
Yes, because to me, local politics always seemed to, in my mind, match up with what I was seeing nationally. If you didn't find a way in, if you didn't find a way to know somebody, then you couldn't get anything done. And that's really what to be political is. I mean, you know powerful people, you're able to leverage that power, or them to know you, maybe them to owe you something. You do things for other people. Sometimes you do them because that's just what you do. It's what's in your heart. But that's what you're doing. You're building relationships, and people don't understand that we live in an empire. America is an empire, and there's things that are done all the time on our behalf, so we can stay this empire. And even though we are, being African American in this empire, we're like American refugees sometimes, but we still are part of this huge force that moves the world. Who do they think runs that? Why do they think that they can leverage that by being nice all the time? Sometimes you just have to get things done, and it's done really badly sometimes, and sometimes you can get things done and, really feel very patriotic and like, hey, this isn't it wonderful to be American? But a lot of people hate us. They hate us what we've done for the things we've committed as a country. And, African Americans have had to, we have to face up to the fact that in order to get anything done in this world, we have to work with the system that's there. And it's not going to be some sort of, we're going to have some independent system. I don't see it. I don't think it exists. And if it exists, it won't be in my lifetime. So good luck. You work on that. In the meantime, I'll vote. I'll put my little ballot in the box. I'll go and try to do, things for people and hopefully, we can get some movement out here.
When you were knocking on doors for Kerry, when you were doing those things for Hillary Clinton, when you went door to door, did you hear people say, "Girl, you wasting your time. This won't solve anything"?
Yes.
And how'd you respond to it?
I usually had some sort of patter. By that time, I was sort of in it, just rolling off my tongue. I didn't know what I did. I was new to it. I tried to find some common ground. A lot of people I didn't know had probably their life changed around them, and maybe they were just put off of voting. I can see now, after 2016, how anybody could be put off of voting, even me. I can't allow myself to be. I haven't earned the right to do that. I would never earn the right to do that, not as an African American. But I see now that life makes you jaded, and it hurts you, and it's painful. And we've had a lot of pain in this country. People were disappointed, and they were saying, no, it's not going to matter. What I didn't like is when young people said it. And I can understand if you've had a really difficult life and you're imagining the whole system's corrupted and why would it work for me? But there were people they were just lazy. And they were just regurgitating the things they heard on a radio or in the barbershop or something that somebody had told them. They hadn't thought about it.
That probably was, probably what also angered me, because what I've never liked is someone who operates from a position of ignorance. And the problem when we use the word ignorance, people think that you're calling that person ignorant. Is that the case? So for instance, even now, I had a guy the other day on Twitter. He was like, "Oh yeah, I voted for Bernie, and you were one of those folks who were helping Hillary steal elections in various places in the South." And I said, well, first of all, let me remind you that 6 months went by, and Bernie Sanders did not make a concerted effort to even come talk to black folks.
Thank you.
I said, talking to Cornel West and Killer Mike is not coming to talk to black folks. I said, now, if you want me to pull receipts out, I'll show you the emails where I was corresponding with his campaign. But even the black folks on his campaign were frustrated because he was not doing the Tom Jones Morning Show, was not doing the Ricky Smiley Show, was not doing my show then on TV1. I said, now, if y'all want to have that conversation, we can have it. But what really got me was when a brother tried to say that, well, you supported that woman who called us super predators. I said, but did you vote for Obama in 08 and 12? I said, because if you did, you do know you voted for the person who wrote the crime bill that you're talking about. I said, now, if you're going to criticize Hillary Clinton for the super predator comment, then you might want to deal with the person who actually wrote the crime bill in the United States Senate, and his name was Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, exactly.
Now, I'm not disparaging Joe Biden, no. But again, if you want to have this debate, don't have a very limited, narrow view. You better go much deeper than that to understand who wrote the bill and who still champions that particular bill that was written. And it's amazing when that happens. It causes people to somehow stop tweeting.
Yeah, their mind is made up. Don't confuse them with the facts. That's just it. We're not just in the heart of hearing, we're the heart of thinking right now. I mean, people have no discernment. They don't know how to think. And if you give them a new piece of information, they can't just incorporate that and go, oh, they keep arguing their same nonsense. That's what we're dealing with right here. It's, one of the reasons why I think democracy is in danger is because people don't know how to think. So you can tell them anything. Trump can show up and say anything, and they can just go, oh yeah. He just called you stupid. Did you hear that? But he's for us. Really? You can't argue something like that. You got to keep moving. You got to go find people who can hear you. You got to go find people who are open to it. And there are people who are open to it. And maybe they just haven't, they don't have the habits. They don't have the, they haven't been taught, to show up that morning.
But one of the things I think is interesting, so there's this fake quote that's been going around where Trump reportedly said, say this and say that, Republicans will believe anything, and they'll believe the lie because they're so clueless, blah, blah. So he actually didn't say that. Well, he actually did. So even though it's a fake quote, he actually has done it. And the thing that gets me is I'll see these folks, and I literally go, y'all know he lying. He's straight up, no holds barred. We ain't even got to debate this thing. That's a lie. But you're right. Then I'll get the people who will say, which I'm just confused by this one. I don't like what he had to say. I think it made no sense. But I like that he actually had the courage to say it. There's a dude right now who's walking down the street in LA who is saying all kind of stuff. If any of us walk past that person, we will say, baby, watch out, because he crazy. Yeah. He's saying all kind of stuff. That's literally Trump. But their deal is, but because he has this conviction, they say, well, you know, he speaks his mind. I just sit there and I'm just kind of like,
yeah.
I'm confused.
That's the power of white male power and money. That's really, I mean, black people have said that for years. That we have said that white men, especially white men with money, were afforded all these passes and get out of jail free cards, and and people thought we were not only being paranoid, but they were no. But now they see it on display. They see it from their own people. When I say their own people, meaning people who are in their old tax bracket and everything, acting a fool, kowtowing to this man. We saw him sit at a table while everybody basically told and said, "Oh yes, my liege, and this is what I think, and you're such a beautiful man." And we saw these people who have degrees, accomplishments, all these things just pile on. We saw, unfortunately, black preachers show up. And when somebody all around that table started to disparage President Obama, they didn't speak up. They didn't say, you know what, I didn't come here for this. I came here for something else. But if you're going to say something about him, then I'm going to defend, myself and my people. And that means, President Obama. I'm going to say something because he's not here to talk about that. But they sat there. We've seen it over and over again. They have this song called "Where Are All the Cowboys?" Where have all the cowboys gone? And I'm like, where have they gone? Did they ever exist? I mean, is that a mirage? I'm in the world of fiction. That's what I do. I'm an actress. I spent 35 years in this business. I've been in the business since I was 14. I was discovered in a basement theater in Philadelphia, a basement called Freedom Theater. And that's what I do. I play for a living. And I look and see that we're in a world that, that it's bizarre where you can't tell the fake from the real. These people are not faking it. That's what they're going to, they're willing to put their whole lives, their family's lives, everything they've accomplished around looking pathetic and weak around a table because this man showed up and told them that, that he was the one and everybody should follow him. He didn't even have a good argument. He's not Martin Luther King. He has no words. He has nothing. He's just rich and white and male. And so people want to see that power on display and then tell us that we're not, that we're crazy. They can't do it anymore. That's the good news.
I spent probably the last 2 to 3 years in a significant number of the speeches that I give around the country, trying to put people in a proper state of mind, such as the fact that 2043 we will be a nation that's majority people of color. By 2039, majority of the working class in this country will be people of color, and that a child that is born today will be 25 by 2043. They will be college graduates. They will be entering their first job into the workforce, and I'm trying to get people to think not about the next election, but to think generationally. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that how I've been trying to deal with even when you talk about when you mention the young voters. Because a person who is 20 years old today will be 45. And when I was talking to this college campus, I said, I need y'all to understand that. You're going to be 45. So you're sitting here thinking, okay, I'm 20, I'm just going to live like my no. But literally, when this nation switches, when it's 47% white, 53% black, Hispanic, and Asian, I'm like, will we look like South Africa? Will we look like a nation where people call majority, but have little power, little resources, and are frustrated?
It's the rebrowning of America. The center cannot hold. The new majority is ascendant, and that's what it is. If you have people who've come from Europe and they've managed all these years, hundreds of years, in an excellent, by, mostly force to take over India, and Africa, and America. They didn't breed enough to hold all that territory. They didn't. it's over because now everybody's got a gun. They made sure that everybody has a gun. So it's over. And you know, either you can suck it up and say it is what it is and let me get with it, let me start to speak different languages and understand cultures, but it's changed.
So how do we then get next generation voters to literally understand that they hold immense power, but it's sort of like having vast amount of oil in your soil, and you have no idea how to even pump it. That to me is the biggest conundrum. Trying to get folks to understand that you take a number of people that's in your group. There are more millennials than baby boomers. Mm-hmm. But the baby boomers vote every election. Presidential, gubernatorial, congressional, Senate, school board, county, city, you name it. That's what they do because they understand that's where the power lies.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for one thing, baby boomers vote because they know that their parents especially went through World War II and the Vietnam War, and they can remember at least those lessons through even viscerally or osmosis. I think that we have to stop apologizing. We have to start bragging. I think.
Explain it.
Well,
you say stop apologizing. Stop apologizing for what?
Every time I see I catch television, somebody will pull out some statistic, and a Democratic representative will be there, and they'll go, "Yeah, we do that, but you know what?" And they start sort of, you know, nodding and like saying yes, as opposed to saying, "Actually, no, that's not true," and really correcting people right where they sit, and being ready to correct people, spending their nights. Listen, not everybody's as smart as you. Let's be real. You are just an amazing, you know, encyclopedia of knowledge, history, and everything. So nobody's, you know, expecting people to do that. But they have to sit there in their truth and say, no, that's actually not true. That's not what we do. And they have to be willing, whether it's CNN, Anderson Cooper, or NBC, or Fox, to put these people on blast and say, that's not true. And by the way, this is what we have done. And by the way, this is why you have clean water, because the Democrats did this, or because we did this. And you have to start naming times, and you get it to after a while, they'll start to regurgitate. It's not talking points, your facts.
Well, actually, I was here in LA speaking to a labor union, and my show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, asked me, they were our first underwriter. And so I was speaking to another union. That's exactly what I said. I said, you're operating on the defensive. I said, conservatives have taken unions and literally turned it into a four-letter word. Mm-hmm. I said, and then you say, let's fight. I said, yet you are fighting a whole bunch of people who literally went to college as a result of having a mom or a dad who was actually in a union. I said, how you are fighting is absolutely crazy to me. Because right, for me, when, and again, I've never identified as a Republican or as a Democrat. I sat on the side of truth. Mm-hmm. I base my point of view on issues. And yes, if you say something crazy, I'm going to say, that's a lie. To call you out on it, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
No. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, one of the biggest lies, they go around and say, we're the party of Lincoln. Saying that over and over again to these people who are in those red states, that their families actually fought against it, go around talking about, we the party of Lincoln. For real? Since when? And no one challenges that. They allow it. This is our economy. No, it's Obama's. Say that. Defend it. You fought for it. It's right. They did allow them to steal a Supreme Court. They did allow them to tear up the health bill and not take credit for it where credit was due. They kept saying, "Oh, this is messed up now." But why are you saying that? It's something that's never been done. That all these presidents, and I saw the apologizing and all this, and the inability to brag. Well, one thing that black people know how to do, and it's because is the whole rapper is they brag. They brag a lot about stuff that they haven't even accomplished. They just talking about it. Here they have accomplished it. They got receipts, they got everything, and they can't brag. They can't brag about that. They can't show up and say this is what it is, and yes, we did that. Well, then yeah, you deserve to.
It's interesting you talk about that with the Affordable Care Act, because the reality is, when Obama was president, when they would say a majority of Americans opposed the Affordable Care Act, that was because there was a significant percentage of people who were in that group who felt it should have been even tougher. So what they did is they combined the people who felt that it wasn't, who believed in single payer, with the people who absolutely opposed it, to then present this large number saying a majority of Americans oppose the Affordable Care Act. When if you actually went deeper than mustard on a hot dog, you'd have realized that you got to separate those who absolutely were against it from those who said, no, I wanted it to be even tougher or stronger. Right. But by combining the two, you gave the impression that, oh no, majority of Americans absolutely can't stand it. And then of course, when Trump wins, all those broke ass folks, especially there were a lot of broke white folks. No, there were a lot of broke white folks in Kentucky who were like, well, I should hold up for the Care Act. But then there were some people who said, no, it was saying, I'm sorry. They said, I hate the Affordable Care Act, but I should. No. They support the Affordable Care Act, but they hate Obamacare. And I'm just sitting here going, this dumb ass does not even realize it's the same thing. And it was just amazing watching it.
Yeah, it was
and
amazing.
In fact, I even told the president, I said, y'all need to stop using Obamacare. I said, you do. I said, they were like, well, no, we're going to spend it. Obama does care. I said, no, Obamacare was a poll-driven phrase that they knew could divide people. Every time y'all use it, you are literally reinforcing the negative. What the hell is wrong with you? You don't reinforce the negative. I said, you call it what it is. You brand that, not embrace the phrase that people hate. I never understood that one. I never understood it.
You know what it is? I think it's because, I mean, we come also from a generation from people who thought that there was a way to be, and a way to be decent, and a way to not brag or be humble. Because why? Even though it's biblical, but if you brag too much, you know, you're not a godly person. Everybody knows that I'm a Hillary Clinton girl, but I can tell you right now, if the one thing I could say about what she should have done is she should have told people what she accomplished. She should have been up front and told people, no. You see that thing? That's me. Oh, yeah, in there? Yeah, me too. Because they were going to come at you no matter what. Right. Might as well come out strong. I mean, listen, I don't know what to say about. There's so much water on the bridge, and get so frustrated with thinking about, you know, what could have been or what has to be. But I know I see people making the same mistakes over and over again.
But see, the thing is also, like, you learn from it. I think you learn from it because, it can be very frustrating. It could drive you crazy. But the reality is there will be another election. There will be something else. And so if you don't learn from it, then you're doomed to repeat the exact same mistake.
Definitely.
And that's one of the things that I find to be very interesting. When you talked about young voters and others, what I believe to be the missing piece, and because I'm in the business of words and trying to get people to understand these things, I think the reason people are so greatly frustrated with politics is because they don't know how to connect the dots. They don't really understand that I want this, and it comes from here and here, and so how I vote and who I vote for impacts who sits in these seats, and what that determines over here. You'll hear somebody who will say, oh, you know, I want my kid the best education. But then when you look at the voting totals of those who run for school board elections, it is some of the smallest numbers out there. Literally, there are people who are elected to school boards with 200 and 300 and 400 votes in major cities. And I think then also when you begin to talk about the issue of economics, how do you connect the dots? I use the school choice example. So I believe in charter schools. First of all, I believe in any school that works. Let's just be clear.
Yeah, okay.
Homeschool, online school, charter school, magnet school. I don't give a damn what the school is. If it works, roll down with it.
Okay.
when I stand in front of black people who hate charter schools because of what they've heard, this is what I say. You want more black history? Well, yeah. I said, if you control the charter school, you control the curriculum. They go, really?
What you talking about, Willis?
I said, yes. Then I said, do you want more black male teachers? They're like, yeah. I said, you do know you control who gets hired as teachers. They go, hold up. You control the curriculum and teachers? Yes. I said, but here's the kicker. If it's your charter school, you control who gets contracts. Who gets the construction contract, janitorial contract, who gets, so now you control the black economics. They go, hold on. So we control the curriculum, we control the economics, we control the teachers. I'm like, yes, you control the school. I've literally seen a room of 1,000 people where 80 to 90% of them oppose the idea, flip in an hour, because I connected the dots. They were opposing this thing.
Boogeyman.
As opposed to, oh, wait a minute. I ain't know all that. That's connecting the dots. I believe how we get next generation voters to vote their numbers is that we have to actually take the time to connect the dots. Stop saying, we need y'all to go vote. No, I'm going to connect the dots so you understand who you vote for will determine your Pell Grants. Who you vote for will determine whether they will actually forgive student loan debt. Who you vote, all of a sudden folks go, oh, because see, we just sort of just talk in the abstract as opposed to connecting the dots.
Yeah, but people don't see the consequences or repercussion things. They might see this now so obvious with Trump up there and just the daily sort of this onslaught of, you know, of his verbiage. It's pretty abusive. But I don't think they understood the consequences and repercussions. No matter what they thought, hey, it doesn't matter who's in there. It's just going to be all the same thing. And frankly, it felt that way to them. So even with connecting the dots, it's hard to get people to get out there because they don't feel the loss. There's all these safety nets around them. Listen, all I know is that, when they get up the next morning, they can still go get a latte and a cappuccino and whatever they need at the corner store. And it hasn't hurt them. But
again, though, when I say connecting the dots, connecting the dots for me is also not assuming they're going to know.
No, you're right. No, they need to be educated.
And so when
somebody's got to make it clear.
So when I look at,
you know who was good at that? Jussie Jackson. He knew how to speak really clearly.
It's called make it plain.
Make it plain. No, you're right.
Because again, when you are having to, when you're 21, 22 years old, and you're North Carolina A&T, and you're working with folks, and you're going to Lowndes County, you're going to Mississippi, as Ella Baker, one of the greatest organizers ever, who people should know more about, she told those students, take your college clothes off, put your overalls on, so when you go and talk to these sharecroppers, listen to what they want. She said they might not be educated, they might not have your degrees, but they smart as hell about life.
Yeah.
Because it was connecting the dots. I think what has happened is, I believe that we have access to so much information, and we have people who have so much book knowledge that what we have to do is connect the dots to say, you might think that person over there has no impact to what you do over here, but no, let me show you how, and then I've seen it where somebody goes, whoa, are you serious?
Yeah.
Yes. And that to me, so campaigns have become about slogans and phrases and television ads as opposed to the connecting of the dots. That to me is how I think we'll be able to get young voters and others to realize the power of that vote.
I was on a lot of HBCU campus, especially in 2008. The thing that worried me, and by the way, I was doing a lot of connecting the dots. I learned, especially because I was defending not only myself, but even a person that they didn't even want to hear. I had to connect the dots and to really talk to them about what was important to them. But many young women came up to me and said, "Could you tell my boyfriend or their father that I can vote and that it's okay Now, these girls that came up to me were in college, but they wanted me to convince their father or their boyfriend that it was okay for them to vote. Why? Because the church had told them that the woman should run the household. I don't know how I connect the dots with somebody who's sitting up there getting a degree and has access to everything, Google on, but she's asking me to see if I can get permission for her.
But see, I think, that's
I'm like,
but you just said
you know what's going on out
but
there?
but you said the key phrase. See, again, you said they have access to Google. If I don't know what to search for, it doesn't matter.
How do you search for freedom, brother?
No. That's what I'm saying. No.
Permission to be free?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Use free.
Again, there are people out there, and again, that's the piece. I believe what has happened is we assume folks know. My favorite movie scenes when Lauren Fishburne character said, "When you don't know, you don't know." So what happens is we say, "It's all out there." Yeah, but I don't even know what the hell I'm looking for.
No, it's true.
And so I think we have to take the information drivers, take folks with these different platforms and say, what are you doing with it? How are you leading the people to the right information as opposed to just throwing something out there? That's why that's why when I have my show, if a guest comes on and says something that's a lie, I stop them immediately, because what I can't have is if Erica is watching and I allow the conversation to keep going for 6-7 minutes, you are going, well, yeah, bro, say nothing, so that person must have been correct. And then it's like, okay, well, we'll do a fact check tomorrow. No. I'm going to say, hold up, I'm going to let you finish, but I ain't going to let you lie like that.
And then they call you a bully.
But see, the problem, the reason you don't see that a lot on cable news is because, let's just be real honest, most of those people who are hosts don't have the information.
No, thank you.
They can't fact check in real time.
Absolutely not. And you know what's the same? They have a little thing in their ear. They have a bunch of producers back there who could just feed it to them. Why not?
Because most of those producers don't know the information.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So you got a host and producers who don't know.
No.
So they got to go Google something.
I'm not talking about what's there. I'm saying they could have that.
Oh, they could.
Professionals
Well, how about just read the damn book, or have a series of books and be prepared with the information before they even go out there?
No,
but
that'd be nice.
But that's also what happens.
Hey, that would be nice. Look, it's a rough ride out there. There's no doubt about it. I don't know what to say about all I know is that most people are confused. And if you lead them to the truth, they're not going to have nothing to say whether you tell them the truth or not, because they don't know how to think. Midterms
are coming up, then of course you have the year 2020 presidential election. If you talked about knocking on doors, you talked about being on HBCU campuses. Somebody came up to you, a young woman, young man, somebody your age, somebody 20 years older. It ain't like that. Baby, I hear you. But I just don't think this thing makes any sense whatsoever. I think it has no impact. I think it will do nothing for my life. I just want to go on about my business and try to live my life. You got 30 seconds to explain to them why them voting, why them registering, why them voting matters. So all you got is 30 seconds. What do you tell them?
I say I ain't got enough time.
You got
to vote like your life depends upon it, because it does. I mean, if you like the way that's what's going on around you, and that's the way it is, then fine. But I said, if that's how it is, then sit it out. But whatever happens, then you own it. And if you own it, then you can't complain about it. That's what I tell them.
That was 19 seconds.
Well, listen, I don't know. I mean, you know what? I'm done with trying to convince people to try to vote for their life. You have to run for your life. I'm going to go try to get people who are open to it and lead them, because I don't know. I think maybe what's happened to me is that I got a little sort of, I got armor on, and when I see somebody who's still being belligerent and doesn't show up and I was like, if it's all you have to do, you can turn on that television, you can literally go and look at that game and make sure that you have that jersey on and show up and get that ticket and make sure you get on time with the right amount of beer and you can't go and show up and vote 30 minutes or an hour after day. I don't know what to say to you. All I know is that they're going to run it. You either going to help run it or they're going to run it for you.
That's what you tell them.
Okay.
That is what you tell them.
Well, good.
No, that is
I hope they heard it.
That is exactly what you tell them. What happens is, and again though, what you just did with your armor and sense of frustration is you actually connected the dots.
Oops.
And that is, if you sit it out, somebody else will be making decisions for you. Do you want that? And then that person sitting there, and if they say, I'm fine with that, okay, then you will be a subject. You'll be subjected
It's true.
to somebody else's will. Or you can say, no, I'm going to wield this. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to call 5 other people. Then I'm going to ask those 5 to call 5. And now I'm looking at 25 folks. Then ask those 25 to call 5. Because I think what happens is, and this is what I mean by connecting the dots. The average person walks around, just like the sisters you talked about, who don't feel empowered because they say, I don't have it. Somebody has to turn their light switch on. And it might be real difficult. They might not understand it. But the reason why I don't run from that conversation is because while I might be convincing that hard-headed person what it is, there's somebody else who's listening.
That's
who
true.
I'm not even talking to.
That is true.
And if they get it,
And it goes, yeah.
I'm good.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because I no more so rhetoric. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You know, when they go low, we go high. And my new thing is when they go low, bury them.
Oh, that's always
I'll see you on the other side of that.
Bury
them.
My deal is,
Cut off their oxygen.
if they say we bring a knife to a gunfight, no, I'll bring a bazooka. So that's why, I mean, I got in trouble at CNN because they would call my agent and they would say, well, I mean, doesn't he understand that these are just these are just debates? I said, no, I'm trying to put you in a rhetorical body bag.
I know that's right. And you know that's right. You can see it, right? And you can see it.
Oh no, that was I'm like, no, I want to beat you into submission. I want you to drive home and to feel that ass whooping I just gave you.
Well, you know, unfortunately, the press that they created was the press that gave us Donald Trump. They didn't do their jobs. That's really what happened.
Oh, no.
They didn't do their jobs.
No. Oh, yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Oh, yes, they did.
With who?
No.
Trump?
No. You're looking at it a totally different way. Oh, yes, they did.
Oh, because they wanted.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm telling you.
Oh,
No, I got receipts. I was sitting on CNN, and this was when Obama was president, and it was one of the midday shows. And I said on the air, I said, whenever Donald Trump comes on this network, we should run a crawl at the bottom saying, this is for entertainment purposes only. I got an email from Ken Jouts, the executive vice president for CNN, who is still there.
Wow.
As executive vice president, saying not to criticize Donald Trump when he comes
so you're
on
saying
our
that's what they
air.
got. Wow.
I said then, hell no. And in fact, when he came on Piers Morgan's show that night, I was tweeting, blasting him like, is this the only damn CEO we can find? The reality is, national media has been in bed with Donald Trump for 30 years.
Okay.
They kept interviewing him. They would go on his plane.
Okay.
They would go to I was there. I went to Stephanie Katubi, who was a booker, and I said, why in the hell does Wolf interview Donald Trump every damn 3 months? I said, when there are other real CEOs we can interview. Oh, but every time this was the answer. Every time we do it, we get great ratings. Now you understand why they were showing the empty podiums at his rallies. Because, Moonbed said it, Trump may not be good for America, but he's great for CBS. Donald Trump drives, they knew the reality show would be like this every day. For them, Hillary Clinton would have been boring. They knew. Chaos would reign every day. That's why.
Are you trying to ask people to vote?
No. Here's why. Yes, because what I'm trying to get people to do is to understand that how you defeat that nonsense is not staying your ass at home.
That's
you defeat that when you put your vote with somebody else or somebody else's, and then take it back. Because our history shows when people care enough and to take it back. If you want to say take my country back, yeah, I want these folks to take our country back from these crazy folks who somehow believe that that makes sense. And that's why when we talk about be woke and vote, I want us to be woke.
Yeah, no.
I want us to stay the hell awake.
Please.
And then if you got to go take a nap, fine. Have somebody else who's awake on guard duty, like in the military, while you go take a nap, and then come back and get on that wall and make sure you're awake.
Yeah, no,
because again, they want us to be asleep. They want young voters. They want African Americans. They want Latinos. They want women. They want marginalized groups historically to be asleep because the demographic numbers in America are changing before our very eyes, and they can't handle the shift. But as long as we are asleep, that they can maintain that power. If you're woke and then you're awake, then they see how they're gonna lose that power real quick.
Well, I hope they not forget hope. I'm done with hope. Fuck hope. Fight. Fight.
As my frat brother Vernon Woodson Tandy said, we'll fight until hell is over, and then we'll fight on the ice.
I know that's right.
All right, Erica, I appreciate it.
Roland Martin.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for always being there.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland. Don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital cable and broadcast, our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.